This is kind of cool. All right. Okay. So this is all right. Let me just I'll back that up again. I'll just play for you. This is Marquette women's lax goalie Jules Horning. Okay. Jules Horning. And so if we just watch her, let me just see if I can't blow this up for you guys a little bit more. Get another view of it, maybe, of just her. All right. Play that through. So she had 18 saves in this game, which is kind of cool. I got this off the IWLCA highlights of the week, which is cool. There's again. Boom. All right. So what I want to point out here is so one of the problems that we have, one of the problems that we have in the sport of field lacrosse is that we don't have goalies who can spend enough time and spend enough repetitions to be world class making stops with something other than the stick. And that's primarily because we're underprotected. Okay. So even with my own goalies, um, even with the goalies that I work with, I will share this advice, but then I will run into, but coach, I feel like I'm gonna break my hand. Or, I wear shorts and I don't want to wear shin guards or things like that just because shin guards slow me down, whatever. Um, but that what ends up happening is that then limits your ability to make saves because if you come to the game of lacrosse, if you come to the game of field lacrosse and you just say like I'm just going to try to stop everything with my stick, those days are done. Like they're so done. So like if I one of the things that I would do, like if I was going to make a goalie from scratch, right? And this is a good exercise for all of you to think about is because right, every sport has this. I saw a clip today of a kid. He's like a high school. He's coming out of high school, I think, going into college. Um, and there's a guy in the NFL named J.J. Watt and his brother T.J. Watt, and they're just like they're like defensive linemen, or not linemen, right? Um, they're defensive backs. What are they? They rush the quarterback, and they're like ridiculous athletes. Well, this kid, everybody thought these guys were ridiculous athletes, and there's other guys like Ndamukong Suh of the Bucks, and who's like massive and big, and he's just like fast hands, whatever, and he can get right after the quarterback. Well, there's this kid coming out of high school who's like even better than all those guys, right? And this always happens, right? So if I was going to make a goalie and I was going to take all these parts and pieces around from other sports, one of the things I would do with the lower half of a goalie is I would love for them to be like agile, like a soccer player, because and I'm talking about a soccer player like in the offensive side of the field, because whenever you're around soccer players with fast feet, um, some of you know the story. Like I had a goalie a number of years ago. She was late to the game of lacrosse in high school. She played soccer a ton. She had gotten recruited by the I think the her soccer coach in the fall was also the lacrosse coach in the spring, and he was like, "Hey, you should come out for lacrosse," and she did, and she came out as a goalie, and she made so many saves with her feet and her legs, anything low. Like she didn't get her stick down because she didn't have that stick skill mindset yet. But in this case, it was actually really good because she would just any low shot, she would just get her foot out there like she was trapping that ball like a soccer player would. And in this play, um, uh, Jules Horning here does that. So number one there has the ball by the ref, okay, coming in, and so Jules like her stick is pretty high, right? This is where like I don't really like how you guys can't see that. Hold on, let me get that banner out of the way. Boink. Let me get my banner out of the way. Brands. Um, can I? Where's it? Where's it? Theme? Go away. Go away. I don't know how to get rid of it. Sorry. Um, I'll put this up here. There you go. How's that? Okay, better? Well, now you're in front of the logo. There we go. Anyway, you got 2 views, guys. No complaints. And they kind of look about the same size now, don't they? Anyway, so Jules, um, so Jules here makes the save with if you watch her right leg. So I like her position. Her knees are a little bit over her feet, or like over the ankles. So that doesn't lend itself to moving laterally. But what it does is it kind of gives a big 5-hole target for a shooter to look at. That as that ball goes down, as she shoots that ball at about 6 or 7 yards, right? Jules gets her stick down, but primarily the idea is like, see her right foot just comes at the ball, right? With a lot of confidence. Okay. Now I don't know if Jules has shin guards under there, knee pads, or what she's got going on, but there's a lot of confidence in this save, and I like that because what goalies have to, what coaches never do, guys, never do, is coaches never help goalies kind of find that line. And that line can be, depending on the speed and the velocity of the shot, it can be anywhere from 6 to 7 yards. It can be 5 yards. It can be 12 yards. Like where the goalie realizes that they can't get their stick to the ball, right? And the only way they're going to make a save, depending on where that goes on them, is something else, whether it's a foot, a knee, an ovary, like whatever it's going to be, right? The idea is what are we going to make that save with if the ball goes there? So in practice, what should be happening, but never does, is shooters should be moving in closer and closer to the cage, and a goalie should be starting to make that kind of that mental line where they go, all right, if that ball is shot towards like this area, I need to put my left foot on it or my off stick elbow, right? And oh wait, we can only do that once because now I can't blow my nose because my elbow is all swollen, right? Oh, but wait, if I pad up, I can do more of them. Oh wait, that yeah, I made that save with my bottom hand glove, but I feel like I'm going to break my hand. Well, and we need, I need to think of a different piece of equipment. What would be a better piece of equipment for that? Maybe if I put a hockey glove on my bottom hand or things like that. This is where, guys, for that, people go, well, like, oh yeah, but there are rules. USA Lacrosse and the high school association has rules. Yeah, this is where people need to start pushing their boundaries, right? Pushing the rules. They need to start going, no, the lacrosse equipment that's been given to me under the rules is not protective enough for what I'm trying to do here. Okay. And that is another phase of all of this that needs to happen. All right, to really empower a goalie and keep them protected and change the game and change the position. But what I love here is that she is how she just kind of moves into this ball. She makes that decision. All right. Oh, that didn't work, did it? Oops. Remove. Yeah, I'm gonna have too many things up. That's not gonna work. Sorry, guys. Um, Maybe if I remove that one, try another one. Add source, screen capture. Oh, that's what I did wrong. Whoop. You can kind of see, I know it's kind of fuzzy, but bear with me here, right? So there she is. And it's like, whoop, right? So I love it. So it doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be pretty. And then what ends up happening is she comes up with a rebound. It's like right there, right? So sometimes, so when I got through high school, I got diagnosed with tendonitis in my knees, both my knees when I was about 12 years old. And as I went through high school, my knees were so painful that I was not a very good goalie at getting down on the ball. It hurt, really hurt. And so sometimes you might have a goalie that's slow to move down. Like her position is pretty vertical. Um, and this is something that you might see with your goalies, like they don't look like they're able to get their stick down that fast. Well, one of the things to consider is like, well, how are their knees? Do their knees hurt? Like, have they grown? Are they in pain from anything? Or is their stance wonky? Right? Is that also hurting them? All right. But, she gets this ball, she makes a save, and then she's like, I love this. She's like, yep, I'm good. Right. So that's really, really good. Okay. So any questions on that one? Um, but I would challenge your goalie. Um, all right, what's this one? Question here. Have goalie face wall, bounce tennis ball off wall, get them to move until reach that point. They need to use limbs. Um, okay, so th- this is where you're gonna get a better bang for the buck if the goalie can see the shooter. So one of the things that happens that makes athletes really, really good. okay, that makes athletes really, really good is this idea, and actually this is true in all fields, right? It's like when you can bring an understanding of all of what's going on, okay? So whenever we take the shooter out of a drill effectively, okay? We tennis rackets, tennis ball machine. Like I like tennis ball machines just from a velocity standpoint, helping a goalie just get used to just a ball coming at them in a safe fashion, like they know where it's going. But you can just crank that sucker up and be like, yeah, here's a 120-mile-an-hour fastball, right? Um, but the idea is that when we take the shooter out of a drill, so i.e., like that drill, like when you're bounce the ball off the wall, what's going to happen is that the goalie is going to basically not degrade, but they're going to they're going to default to their most sloppiest technique, right? Which is okay, but the idea here is that I've not yet met a goalie that has so much understanding of the shooter's library and understanding the language of lacrosse that's really good. Like there was a video a couple years ago. It was Kyle Bernlohr, and it was like um, Scotty Rogers, and they're doing that drill, and I don't feel like it's the best use of your time. I think it's fun and entertaining, but the idea is that it you can still get the same result, right? So what you do is you say, all right, we're gonna shoot 5 hole, 5 hole, 5 hole, 5 hole, and the shooter has the right to sneak a couple high every once in a while just to keep the goalie honest, right? Um, and so what you do, like you're saying, is like, okay, we're gonna move in, or sometimes it's better to move out, right? So you start close, too close, and they know they can't get their stick there, right? So that teaches this idea of like, okay, well, we're gonna lead with a body part and then the stick, right? And so then as you move further out, you reverse it, then they get to the point where they're like, okay, now I have plenty of time to get there with a stick. I get it. So my number is 6 yards, 7 yards, 8 yards. And also again, that differs. If it's a time and room shot, that's one thing. If it's like the shots that I showed you guys last week, um, that might be a little bit closer, or actually, yeah, yeah, a little bit close. Or it could be a little bit far away. It depends on speed and if the ball's hidden and things like that. So yeah. So I don't um, and so Zach Van Valkenburg. Zach, are you Belgian, Zach? Because I have a friend named Tibor van den Wildenberger. Paul Schmoller Cornell was the best at using his body parts to make a save. Zach, have you listened to me before? Because that was what I was going to talk about. Like when I talked about the first clip, I said when I went to the Cornell camp and Paul Schmoller was the guy that taught me. The one thing that he taught me was how to use your feet. And Paul was a tall guy, very lanky. He wore gray sweatpants. And in footage of him against like Syracuse and things like that, he made a lot of saves with his feet. And I asked him that because I had only ever been taught like you got to, step to the ball and blah, 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 this and that, whatever. Punch the bottom hand over the top hand, which I still teach to a point. But the idea is he's just like, sometimes you just can't do that. Right. But I want to take that one step further and go, that needs to be like a primary point of attack, a primary tool in the toolbox. Let's put it that way. But Zach, that's exactly right. Paul Schmoller, who's a world team goalie, played at Cornell. He was awesome, right? Awesome. And it's a sad loss for lacrosse that he's gone. Yeah, that was a really, really good point. So yeah, we want goalies to understand, and it's never taught like that. It's never taught like we're going to find out what your what your point of no return is, right? Where we know that you're never going to get a stick there. Like, okay, we're going to shoot off stick hip just inside the post. We're going to offset you because we're going to offset goalie. We're going to move you offset. So that's going to make you closer. You should be making that save with your bottom hand. You'll lead the bottom hand of that space first, then turn the stick over. The question is, okay, well, all right, at what point are we not getting the stick head there anymore, right? And or better yet, if you start from the inside out, you start first. You're like, okay, just get your hand there. Boom, boom, boom. Um, Elaine writes, play box goalie, and you learn quick to make body body/kick saves. Elaine, that is totally true. The thing is that when kids get outside, it's like they forget all that. They'll take one off the body if it comes to them, but they're not like throwing their elbow in something or throwing their knee at it, right? It's weird. It's really weird. Like right now, I'm working with a Canadian goalie, actually 2 Canadian goalies, and we had this conversation this last week where like how to make that save indoors, but inside you're not doing it like that. I like when a player comes across the crease and box like really hard, right across the front, even almost like a dive, right? And the goalie, what does the goalie do? The goalie he moves right across the face of the cage, right? But in field, what do? They come out naturally. It's weird. It's weird, and we have to kind of go, no, we got to figure that. So, so there's Elaine's questions. Yeah, and Bob Nunn's right. Yeah, because they're protected. Yes, but also, Bob, like true, but the idea that yes, they're protected, but also just fundamentally when you're looking at like angles and right, it's determined football too, right? Like if you are going to if you're going to like let's say uh the quarterback throws the ball to a wide receiver and you're like the safety and you're running at the guy, you've got to be careful of your angles, the angle of attack you take at that guy or else you miss it. And that's where fundamentally for a lacrosse goalie, uh, this is something where I've got a video of Kyle Bernlohr kind of messing this up a bunch, and actually Blaze Reardon too, where fundamentally there's just a misunderstanding of what the shooter's doing and where that stick's going to end up and where they need to be versus like just kind of stepping out of things. So it's weird. So but protection helps this idea. It just unleashes a goalie to help them understand like, oh, if I move my body into this space, I make it easier to get the ball with my stick, but also too I increase my odds of um yeah, just better angles and stuff. Elaine writes, DX uses his body all the time with bruises and has the bruises to show it. Joel Rose, right? If your angle of attack is wrong, it becomes an angle of pursuit real quickly. There you go. Angle of pursuit. Is that the word I'm looking for? Like, is that what we talk about? Like, I never played football. Like, I love it, but I don't know what do you tell the guy? Right. I know in hockey too, it's the same thing. It's like when a defender kind of tries to pinch a forward coming on the wing, like they got to watch that too. So anyway, but that's good stuff. Okay. Bob writes, stick upside down lends itself to more physical play. I would take the stick away from the goalie, Bob, and have them just play like with 2 hands. That you'll get even better reactions first. Jupiter Smith, Bob Nunn's goalie is soft. I think Bob Nunn's goalie. Bob's goalie's got a smart coach who's thinking, and I like that. I really, really like that. Okay, so but the idea here is that it's just the understanding the goal. Like our job as a goalie is to get in the way of that ball. That's it, right? If you watch like handball goalies and how they play and field hockey goalies and how they play, go watch bandy ball for Christ's sake and go just like, yes, Christ likes bandy ball, but anyway, just go watch bandy ball. And if you don't know what it is, just Google it and go have some fun with it. And you'll be like, what? Those Scandinavian folks are weird. But just what you're doing is just looking at the fundamental act of getting in front of an implement, right? And what are you going to do to do that? And sometimes taking the stick away from your goalie is one of the best things you can do to teach those things, right? Hands down. All right, guys, thanks for watching and thanks for listening wherever you are. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you like this, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. When you're ready, head on over to lacrossegoalieuniversity.com/coaching so I can work with you and your goalie. And while you're at it, check out athletespecific.com to learn more about mental performance and high performance. You may not know this, but I work with athletes in a variety of sports. Lacrosse is my love, but man, I love athletes and the families who support them. So head on over to athletespecific.com and check it out. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.